18 popular plants with white flowers. Mountain laurel, Laurus nobilis, is a broadleaf evergreen shrub growing 5 to 14 feet tall, blooming in late spring. Both the flowers and the glossy green foliage bear a resemblance to rhododendrons, which often is a partner in landscape design. The bloom period for mountain laurel is quite long, lasting several weeks. The flowers are often rose or pink in color, but some cultivars have brilliant white flowers with purple markings. In addition to the classic yellow varieties, there are also white daffodils found in several species in the Narcissus genus. Narcissus is a complicated genus of plants, and the species and cultivars tend to be grouped into classes known commonly as daffodils, jonquils, or paperwhites, but it is also completely proper to know the entire range of Narcissus species and hybrids simply as daffodils. As you might guess, the paperwhite group includes most of the white flowering daffodils, but there are also white cultivars to be found in the other groups. The Daphne genus of woody deciduous shrubs includes several species and hybrids that are common landscape choices. Especially popular is Carol Mackie, Daphne times Burkwoodi, Carol Mackie, and Briggs Moonlight, Daphne x Burkwoodi, Briggs Moonlight, both variegated forms. In addition to the more common purple flowering varieties, the common lilac, Syringa vulgaris, have cultivars that bloom with white flowers. Madame Lemoyne is a good white flowering variety. White angel is another to consider. Common lilacs bloom in April to May. These are multi-stem shrubs that can grow as tall as 15 feet. If you think that the foliage of Queen Anne's lace, Daucus carota var. Carota reminds you of carrots, you are exactly right. This native wildflower is closely related to the garden carrot, D. carota var. Sativus, and is sometimes called wild carrot. Queen Anne's lace grows 1 to 4 feet tall and has the same lacy foliage as garden carrot. It blooms with clusters of tiny white flowers in late summer. You don't need rich soil to grow alliums, nor are they eaten by rodent or deer pests. The ornamental flowering alliums, although relatives of plain old garlic and onion, are much more impressive bloomers. Nor are you restricted to white blooms. Globemaster allium, for instance, bears striking purple blossoms. Some good white flowering varieties include Allium stipulatum, white giant, Allium, white Everest, and Allium nigrum. The flowers of ornamental onions are typically globe-shaped, resembling exploding fireworks. The flower heads are actually composed of numerous star-shaped florets, up to 1,000 of them. White cleome flowers, Cleome hasseleriana, carry the common names, spider plants, and cat's whiskers. Due to the unusual appearance of the flower heads at 3 to 6 feet tall, cleome flowers are tall enough to be planted in the back row of a garden. Although generally planted as an annual, this plant reseeds readily and easily establishes an ongoing presence, though you will need to pluck out unwanted volunteers. Some good pure white cultivars include Sparkler White and White Queen. There are white flowers, and then there are those with brilliant white blossoms. Candytuft falls into the latter category. A perennial plant, Candytuft's bright white blossom glistens like few others in the garden. Growing 6 to 12 inches tall with shrubby stems, this plant is often used as an edging plant or planted in rock gardens or in the gaps in stone retaining walls. It blooms from early to late spring, and may be evergreen in warmer zones. In cooler climates, it may need some protection over the winter. Periodically cutting back the stems will help rejuvenate the plants and keep them compact. Sweet woodruff Galium odoratum is a mat-forming perennial plant growing 9 to 12 inches tall with lance-shaped leaves and white flowers that bloom in spring. It is an excellent ground cover plant for shady areas, such as beneath trees. It spreads through creeping rhizomes and by self-seeding, but is easily controlled simply by shearing off the plants with a lawnmower. It is known as sweet woodruff because the leaves are intensely aromatic when crushed or cut. They are sometimes used to flavor teas and cold drinks. Deutzia gracilis nico often goes by the common names dwarf Deutzia or slender Deutzia. It is a short shrub 2 feet and is therefore often treated as a ground cover rather than as a typical shrub. It spreads out to a width of 5 feet at maturity. While its white flowers are not big, they occur in clusters that form a nice, bright display for about 2 weeks in spring. These plants are often used in shrub borders, in foundation plantings, or for informal hedges. They are also sometimes found in sunny rock gardens. Star magnolia, Magnolia stellata, is a small deciduous tree growing to 15 to 20 feet tall. It has a rounded crown and is sometimes used as a large mounded shrub in the landscape. Star magnolia blooms with magnificent star-shaped white flowers in early spring before nearly all other plants and even before its glossy green leaves appear. Callery pear, Pyrus calleriana, is a spring-flowering deciduous tree that was once very popular, thanks to its tolerance for urban conditions. The Bradford cultivar has been especially prevalent. However, there are a number of flaws with this tree, and many experts now caution against planting it. The tree is quite weak and notorious for suffering broken branches in storms. Further, the tree is regarded as invasive over large sections of the lower Midwest and upper South. Sweet autumn clematis, Clematis terniflora, is a semi-woody vine that is among the more prolific of the clematis species, growing as much as 30 feet with creamy white flowers that blanket the plant from August through September. This plant blooms later than most clematis plants and is considerably more fragrant, hence the sweet moniker. In areas where you want the fragrance and plentiful white blooms of a vining plant, star jasmine, Trachelospermum jasminoides, is probably a better choice than the often invasive sweet autumn clematis. Also known as Confederate jasmine, this is a native plant in the American Southeast. The fragrance of the flowers is the reason the plant is known as a jasmine, even though it is not a jasmine at all, belonging to an entirely different genus. Korean spice viburnum, Viburnum carlisi, is a slow-growing deciduous shrub with a rounded shape. Growing 4 to 6 feet tall, its flower clusters are white with pink tinges, blooming in early to mid-spring. The blossoms of Korean spice viburnums are among the landscape's most fragrant flowers. It is often planted in small masses or mixed with other broadleaf shrubs in shrub borders or islands. If you prune this shrub, do it immediately after flowering to ensure good blooms the following spring. Mixed with other bedding plants, a carpet of white alyssum, Lobularia maritima, can serve as a filler and neutral color that helps other plants shine. Alternatively, planted by itself, this flower can function as a temporary ground cover for cooler times of the year. While it is technically a perennial in warmer regions, sweet alyssum is usually categorized and grown as an annual. Snow in summer, Cerastium tomentosum, is a short-lived perennial plant with a low, mat-forming growth habit that blooms with white flowers that carpet the plants in early summer. But snow in summer is about more than just the blooms. Its silvery foliage recommends it for use in combination with all sorts of other plants, and it has a velvety feel. Plants with silver foliage are not only attractive to admire in isolation but can provide an interesting backdrop for the flowers of other plants. Try snow in summer in a planting bed featuring the flowers of red salvia, for instance. Mock orange, Philadelphus coronarius, is a deciduous shrub that grows 10 to 12 feet tall with a suckering growth habit on arching branches. It blooms in late spring or early summer with white flowers that have a heavenly scent. Although this plant doesn't have a lot of appeal other than the flowers, it does accept pruning well. Prune it immediately after flowering is complete, so it is often grown as a hedge. It also works well in foundation plantings or for low screens or shrub borders. This is not the most spectacular of white flowering shrubs, but the delightful aroma of the flowers will make it all worthwhile for many gardeners. There are also cultivars with variegated or golden yellow foliage. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more interesting videos. And please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm.